Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and the message reads like this. Hello my brother, can you please post for me as anonymous? I am a 32-year-old woman currently staying in the United States of America, but I have so many problems that I am facing in my life. Can you please also hide my own country of origin? So for me to be here in America where I am right now, it was because of this other pastor. Me and my mother, after we had left the village, we started attending this other Pentecostal church, and whilst we were attending that church, at that time my brother, I had just turned 19 years old. So the pastor then said that he wanted to pray for me, and after he had prayed for me, he looked at me and he said that he had seen in spirit that I am a woman who has great gifts and God was going to bless me accordingly. My mom was really happy and excited after we had been given this prophecy by this pastor at the church where we were now attending, me and my mother. And the reason why my mom was really excited, it was because of our past life. Me and my mom and my siblings, when we were still in the village, life was really hard because what had happened to us is that we had lost the only breadwinner that we had. This was my father, and after my father had passed away, my mother was then forced that she had to get married again, but she had to get married to one of my father's younger brother. And when my mother refused that she didn't want to get married to any of my late father's siblings, that was when the trouble started. That was when my mother was denied the right to go and cultivate at one of the fields, because as a family they used to go and cultivate at the same fields. So they said that since she had refused to get remarried to one of our late father's brothers, then it meant that she and our mother had another man that she was dating, and they had planned so that they can kill off our father, and after killing our father, then they could continue with their relationship. But all of this, they were lies upon lies. They only wanted to take control of the few livestock that were left behind by my late father after my mom had refused to get married to our late father's brother. That was when we were finally kicked out of our house that our father had built for us before he had passed away. And our mom, she was also an orphan, so there was no way she could take us to. The only place where she could go with us, there was her friend who was working in the city. That's where she went with us. When we went into the city, that was when my mother started looking for a job, and she finally found a job. And at the place where she was working, they encouraged her to go to church. That is how we started attending church. And from the very first day that we started attending at that church, the pastor just pointed his finger at me, and after he had pointed the finger at me, that was when he gave me that prophecy, and he said that I was a woman who had a lot of gifts that God wanted to give me. And even when I was still in the village, there were a lot of our own relatives that used to say that I had the gift, like I was supposed to be a traditional healer. And people said that I looked very well like one of my late aunties. She also had that gift of healing people. So when the pastor gave us this prophecy and a lot of blessings on top, my mom was really excited, and what she saw in me was a child that was going to pull her out of poverty. Even when the pastor said that he wanted me to work for him, my mom never questioned anything, like we were only new at that church. So why the pastor all of a sudden wanted her daughter to work for him? That was how the pastor came with his wife, and they took me, and I started staying at the pastor's wife. When I was staying at the pastor's wife had told me that I was not supposed to do anything like to clean or to do anything. All that I was supposed to do was that I had to stay as if I was one of their own child. And at the end of the month, I was being paid. Why I was even being paid, I didn't even understand. I was just sitting at home feeling bored. And they even installed a TV in my bedroom. They said that maybe sometimes you would find yourself that you want to watch some movies and you'll be feeling embarrassed to watch the movies in the living room, since at the pastor's house it was always busy throughout the day. People will be coming to receive their prayers. Some will be coming to give the money so that God can bless them. But as time went on, after the pastor had bought a phone for me, that was when he started sending me some text messages late at night, even on WhatsApp. If you would see that I'll be online, he would send me some messages and he will say, "Daughter of God, why are you still online? Are you already dating? Have you found a man?" And he will start sending some jokes, and I didn't even understand how was I supposed to respond to him, because some of the jokes that he would send to me, they were really inappropriate. And whenever I would look up to him, he was more like a father figure to me. So whenever he would send me these shameful jokes, I would even switch my phone feeling embarrassed, because I didn't want to put myself and him in a bad space if I responded in a bad way. Then there was one day, Mama called me into her bedroom, and this was like the rules that were not supposed to be broken. There was no one, not even her children, they were not allowed to enter into her bedroom. But one night, to my surprise, she called me to the bedroom and she told me that she wanted to have a one-on-one counseling session with me. So the counseling session, it then started, and when the counseling session started, that was when she started telling me that it was high time for me to get married, and already they had found a man who was willing to get married to me. But the only problem was that this man, he was not in our country. This man, he was staying in another country here in Africa. So they told me that I was going to be moved out of our country. Then I would go to that country where my future husband was, because they have another branch in that African country. That was how I got a passport without the knowledge of my mother. Then I was quickly moved into that other African country, where I was then given a job at the church as well. Then what started happening is that there was another man who was more like a bodyguard to me wherever I was. That man from church, he was always with me, watching each and every move that I would make. If any man would try to approach me, that man was always close by to discipline that man that would have tried to approach me. It was like I was under surveillance 24/7. His eyes were upon me, and at the house where we were staying, we were a lot of us who were working for the church, so there was not even an opportunity for me to go out like just to have fun by myself, because that man, he was always close by. This man, he is a pastor as well in that church. He is also called a prophet. Whilst I was in that country, I heard that my mom, she was even being given her own salary. The salary is for what I do not even understand, but I think that it was their plan. They wanted to buy my mom so that my mom will not even question anything. That was when the pastor came into that country where I was now staying, and he came with his wife. Then they went with me to the embassy. They said that this was a quick job because the pastor was supposed to go to America. So I was part of that team that was supposed to go with him to America. Then we went there and we applied for the visas and everything. On the day when we were supposed to travel to America, that was when I heard that some of the members that were supposed to travel with us, their visas had been rejected. So it was only me who was supposed to travel with Mama and Papa. This was quite surprising to me, but at that time, I had been told to fast so that my visa can quickly come out, as well as some of the people that I was staying with. They were also fasting, and their visas, they said that the visas had gotten rejected. That is how I ended up being in America. When I came here to America the first time, I came with Mama and Papa. As soon as we were here in America, we started going around visiting a lot of colleges. I didn't even understand why we were visiting all of these colleges that we were visiting. Then one day, Mama, as we were sitting down, we were just by the poolside at the hotel where we were staying. Then Mama said that, do you know why we have been going around visiting a lot of colleges? Then I said, no, I do not even know. Then she said that for a very long time, the pastor had been receiving this word from God. God had told him that I was supposed to study in America. So he had taken it upon himself so that I can study in America. That is how I ended up studying in America. Then the pastor started making a lot of visits, traveling between our country and America. And each and every time that you'll be in America, he would request that I should pick him up at the airport where he will be landing at. And from there on, we would go and stay at whatever place where we will be staying, until one night he then invited me into the bedroom. When I went there, he said that he wanted me and him to have a Bible study. And whilst we were having a Bible study, he locked the door. That was when he gave me a ring, and he said that he had already spoken with his wife back home, and the wife had agreed that I was supposed to be his second wife. I was really scared. I didn't even know what was happening. Everything was happening really quickly. He then said that if I think that he was lying, his wife was going to confirm everything. And the wife who was on the other end of the line, she confirmed that this was a plan all along, because naturally she had reached a stage in her life whereby she can't satisfy her husband anymore, and they had chosen me so that I can become a secret second wife to her husband. I was really broken when this man took me to bed, because he was more like a father figure to me, but still I didn't have any choice. He took me to bed anyway, and he kept on reminding me of who had brought me to South Africa, who had brought me to America, and there were a lot of things, good things, that were waiting for me if I was going to comply, and they were going to make sure that they were going to take care of my mom and my siblings, and I was going to live a very happy life. But we had to keep this as a secret, and I was not supposed to get married to any man. Right now, my brother, me and this pastor, we have had 3 kids. And this man, it is like he is on a mission, because year after year, he makes sure that I fall pregnant. Right now, I have 3 kids by this pastor. My mom knows this story. My mom, she is living a very good life, and they are taking good care of her. And at church, they just pretended as if when I arrived here in America, I then started sleeping around. That is how I fell pregnant. But I am the second wife to our pastor, and is that type of a man who hates adulterous people. But what people do not know is that he does not practice what he preaches, because he has a secret second wife. And it's like I am not even allowed to go back home. Maybe they are afraid that if I return back home, maybe I'll end up telling people my story. And what happens is that my mom, she is the one who comes to visit me to see her grandchildren and her daughter here in America.